This story is about a mother, not a queen, not a soldier, just a mother. On a quiet alien world where peace was everything. But peace ended the moment they came for her child. They said it was only a routine detainment. They didn't know that the woman they touched was no ordinary alien. Because when a mother's rage burns bright enough, even the dragons remember fear. Stay till the end to see what happens when love turns into fire. And the galaxy trembles. The twin suns of planet Virelia rose slowly over the silver horizon. The air shimmered with soft light, and the wind carried the sweet scent of crystal flowers. It was a peaceful world, too peaceful to imagine what was about to happen. In a small valley of glowing stones lived Lysera, a quiet alien woman with deep violet eyes and skin that shimmered like morning frost. She wasn't a warrior or a leader. She was simply a mother. And for her, peace was found in the laughter of her daughter, Ari. Ari was only 6, small, curious, and full of questions about everything she saw. Her favorite thing was to chase the little firebirds that danced around the lakes. When she laughed, even the stones seemed to echo her joy, but Ari was not like other children. Her eyes shone brighter, almost silver, and sometimes when she cried or laughed too hard, small sparks of light appeared in the air around her. People in the village whispered about it. Some said she was blessed. Others called her dragon-touched, but Lysera didn't care what they said. To her, Ari was her heart, her reason to live. Every morning, Lysera would hum an old lullaby. Her mother used to sing it long ago, a song said to keep the dragons asleep beneath the mountains. No one really believed in dragons anymore. They were stories, myths from a forgotten time when fire and sky were one. But Lysera still sang it. Maybe deep inside she felt it mattered. That morning was like every other. The sky was calm, the birds flew in slow circles, and Ari sat by the river, tossing pebbles into the glowing water. Lysera smiled as she watched her. For a moment everything was perfect, but perfection never lasts. A faint sound broke the air, a hum that didn't belong to nature. It came from above. The light of the suns flickered for a second as a shadow crossed the valley. Lysera looked up. Something metallic was moving across the clouds. A ship. Not one of theirs. Her heart skipped. The ground vibrated gently, and Ari looked at her mother confused. "Mamas, what's that sound?" Lysera forced a smile, trying to hide her fear. "It's nothing, my light. Probably just thunder." But she knew it wasn't thunder. Thunder didn't move like that. Thunder didn't shine with cold blue lights. The hum grew louder. Then came a deep, rhythmic pulse. Engines. A voice echoed from the sky, robotic and emotionless. "Attention inhabitants of Virelia. Galactic Dominion Security Patrol. We are here for routine inspection. Remain calm." The villagers stopped what they were doing. Silence spread like a fog. Everyone had heard of the Dominion, an empire that controlled entire worlds. But they never came here. Virelia was too small, too quiet, too unimportant. Lysera felt something cold twist inside her. Her instincts screamed they are not here for an inspection. The ship descended lower, its massive shadow swallowing the light. Dust and wind exploded around as metallic feet hit the ground. Soldiers in silver armor marched out, faces hidden behind mirrored helmets. Ari grabbed her mother's hand. "Mama, why are they here?" Lysera didn't answer. She held her daughter close and stepped back, eyes fixed on the soldiers. One of them raised a scanner, its red beam moving across the crowd, until it stopped on Ari. Target detected. Subject identified as anomaly. The soldier pointed. "Seize the child." For a moment, Lysera froze. The world went silent. She couldn't breathe. Then something inside her broke. She stepped forward, her voice trembling with rage. "No, she's just a child." But the soldiers didn't stop. They reached for Ari, their metal gloves cold and unfeeling. Ari screamed. Lysera lunged forward on claws of pure instinct. The soldiers shoved her back, hitting her with a stun rod. Pain burned through her body. She fell to her knees, gasping. As darkness closed in, she heard her daughter's voice crying out, fading into the distance. "Mama, Mama!" The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the sky. and for a split second, she thought she saw it shimmer with fire. A whisper echoed in her mind, soft, ancient and full of power. Your rage has been heard. Smoke filled the valley of Virelia. The peaceful glow of the crystal fields was gone, replaced by the harsh blue light of the Dominion ships. The air was heavy with dust and fear. When Lysera opened her eyes, she was lying on the cold ground. Her body trembled. Sparks of static ran across her skin from the stun weapon. For a moment, she couldn't remember what had happened. Then it hit her. Ari, her daughter, was gone. Lysera pushed herself up, pain burning through her muscles. Around her, the village was in chaos. Soldiers marched between homes, scanning every corner with red beams. The metallic voices of their helmets echoed. Search protocol active. No resistance tolerated. People hid behind walls, trembling. Some tried to run, but drones circled overhead, ready to fire. Lysera's eyes darted across the crowd. She spotted a small trail of footprints in the dust, Ari's footprints. They led toward the main clearing where the Dominion's shuttle stood, its engines glowing like fire. Her heart pounded. Her legs moved before her mind could think. She ran. Every breath was sharp, every sound distant. Her only thought was, get to Ari. When she reached the clearing, she saw it. 2 soldiers dragging her daughter toward the ship's ramp. Ari struggled, crying, calling for her mother. Mama! Please don't let them take me! Lysera's vision blurred. Her heart screamed louder than her voice. She charged forward, desperate, fearless, ready to tear through metal with her bare hands if she had to. A soldier turned. Halt! He aimed his blaster. But before he could fire, Lysera's scream echoed like thunder. It wasn't just sound. The air shook. The ground cracked. A shock wave burst from her chest, throwing the soldier backward. The ship's ramp shook. For a second, everything froze. The Dominion commander, a tall man with a black visor, stepped out of the shadows. His voice was cold, calm, cruel. Contain the subject. The mother is unstable. Lysera looked up at him, fury burning in her violet eyes. Unstable? She hissed. You took my child. He tilted his head slightly. The child is not yours anymore. She belongs to science now. Those words lit something inside her, deeper than anger, older than fear. Her blood burned like liquid fire. She felt it again, that whisper from the dark. Your rage has been heard. A sound thundered across the mountains, a roar ancient and powerful, shaking the sky. Everyone froze. Even the soldiers turned their heads. Something was coming. The clouds split open and a flash of orange light tore through the mist. The commander raised his weapon. What in the stars? Then he saw it. Far in the distance, wings of flame unfolded. Massive, majestic, unstoppable. The sky itself seemed to burn. A dragon, scales glowing like molten rock, rose from beneath the mountains. Its roar silenced the world. The soldiers panicked. It's impossible. Dragons are extinct. But Lysera smiled through her tears. Somewhere deep inside, she knew this creature was answering her. It was not a coincidence. It was a bond, a mother's cry heard by an ancient power. The dragon's golden eyes locked on her, as if recognizing her blood. Lysera's pain turned into strength. She stood tall, her hair lifting in the heat, her eyes shining silver like her daughter's. She whispered, You came, and the dragon roared again, a sound that made even the stars tremble. The soldiers aimed their weapons, but it was too late. The raid that began as an arrest was about to become a war, and this time, the mother wasn't alone. The sky was burning. Flames licked the clouds as the ancient dragon rose from beneath the mountains, its roar shaking the air like thunder from another world. The soldiers froze, their helmets reflecting the golden blaze. The ground itself seemed to breathe fire, and in the middle of the chaos stood Lysera, trembling, her heart torn between fear and fury. She could feel the dragon's roar deep inside her bones, not as sound, but as something older. Something alive. For a moment, she couldn't move. The soldiers shouted commands, weapons ready, but their voices were drowned in the storm. Lightning cracked. Dust spiraled, and Lysera felt her own heartbeat match the rhythm of the dragon's roar. Then suddenly, she understood. That creature was not her enemy. It was calling to her. A memory flashed through her mind. Her mother's lullaby, the one she had sung to Ari. The song that was supposed to keep dragons asleep. But Lysera wasn't keeping anything asleep anymore. She had woken it up. "Your rage has been heard," the voice echoed again, not in her ears, in her soul. Lysera gasped. She looked down at her hands. They were glowing faintly, the same golden hue as the dragon's fire. Her veins pulsed with light. The air around her shimmered. The commander shouted, "Contain her now!" But it was too late. Energy erupted from her body, a wave of pure power that blasted outward. Soldiers were thrown like leaves in a storm. Metal bent, weapons melted. The dragon roared again, as if answering her. The connection between them grew stronger, invisible but undeniable. Lysera could see flashes in her mind, memories not her own. Ancient skies, burning wars, a time when dragons and her people shared one spirit. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "I am one of you." The dragon's massive head turned toward her, its eyes glowing like molten suns. It lowered itself slightly, wings folding as if bowing to her. The villagers who had been hiding stared in disbelief. They saw not a weak mother anymore, but something divine, a creature reborn from legend. Lysera raised her head. Her fear was gone. Her voice was calm, steady, filled with quiet power. "You took my child. You broke my world. Now I will break yours." The dragon lifted its wings. The blast of wind tore through the valley. Lysera felt the fire in her chest burning brighter, rising higher. Her eyes turned silver white, glowing like Ares. She stepped forward, and every step left a trail of light on the ground. The soldiers fired again, but their energy bolts vanished mid-air, absorbed into her aura. The commander shouted, "Fall back!" "Fall!" He didn't finish. The dragon opened its mouth, and fire rained from the sky. The soldiers screamed, their voices lost in the roar of flame. Ships cracked apart like paper. The entire mountain shook. Lysera didn't look away. Her rage was no longer just hers. It was ancient, shared with the spirit of the dragon. They were one fury, one purpose, one heartbeat. When the smoke cleared, the commander lay on the ground, his armor half melted, his eyes wide with terror. He whispered, "What are you?" Lysera looked down at him. Her voice was soft, almost kind. "I'm just a mother." Then she turned her eyes to the horizon, where the Dominion's main fleet waited in orbit. Above her, the dragon's wings unfurled again, flames curling around its massive body. The connection between them was complete now. Fire and flesh, rage and love, united by pain. Lysera whispered to the wind, "I'm coming for my child." The dragon leaped into the sky, and she followed, rising into the firestorm she had created. The awakening was over. Now, the war would begin. The sky was no longer blue. It burned gold and red like the world itself had caught fire. The dragon's wings stretched across the heavens, shadow and flame moving as one. And at the heart of it all was Lysera. She soared beside the dragon, carried by invisible power. Her body felt light, yet her heart was heavy with fury. Below her, the soldiers scattered like dust, their ships falling apart in the storm she had unleashed. But inside her chest, something was changing. Her heartbeat echoed with the dragon's. Each pulse sent a spark of energy through her veins. Her vision blurred between worlds, the real and the ancient. She saw flashes of the past, dragons flying over glowing cities, people with eyes like hers calling the skies to war. She whispered to herself, "So it's true. My blood remembers." The dragon's voice rumbled inside her mind, deep, warm, ancient. "Your pain gave me life again. Now your rage gives me strength. But power demands balance." Lysera looked down at her hands. Scales of golden light formed across her skin, glowing softly, beautiful and terrifying. Her fingers ended in sharp crystal claws. Her hair lifted, glowing like strands of flame. She was changing, not fully dragon, not fully alien, but something greater. She was becoming legend. Her eyes widened as she realized she could feel Ari, faintly, like a heartbeat across space. Her daughter was alive, but afraid. She felt the fear in her bones. She saw the cold metal walls of a Dominion ship. Scientists, restraints, machines humming. Ari's small voice echoed through her mind. "Mama, it's dark." Lysera's body trembled. A scream tore from her throat, a sound that made the clouds rip apart. "I'm coming for you, my light. I'm coming!" The dragon roared in response, a sound that split mountains. Together they rose higher, breaking through the storm. Lightning danced around them as if the universe itself was bowing. Below, the commander, burned, broken, looked up and whispered to his men, She's becoming a god." Lysera could now see the Dominion fleet in orbit. Dozens of ships, black as void, surrounded the planet like vultures waiting for death. Their lights blinked in patterns, ready for war. She didn't care. The dragon spoke again. "You are one with me now. Your heart is fire. But if you lose yourself to rage, you will burn everything." Lysera's voice was calm but fierce. "Then let the stars burn until I find my child." She raised her hands and the air around her rippled. Flames spiraled out of her palms, wrapping around her body in patterns like ancient runes. Her wings unfolded, not of flesh, but of pure energy. Her aura expanded, shaking the sky. From the ground, the villagers watched in awe. One whispered, "She's not a mother anymore. She's a storm." The Dominion ships above began to open fire, beams of blue energy cutting through the clouds. Lysera's eyes flashed. She lifted her hand, and the beams bent midair, twisting like ribbons of light before exploding harmlessly. Each attack made her stronger. The dragon dove beside her, roaring, wings tearing through the air like knives of flame. Together, they moved with deadly grace, fire and fury dancing across the sky. Then, Lysera spread her arms wide. A golden ring of fire expanded from her chest, a pulse of rage and love combined. Ships shattered. Energy cores overloaded. The night sky turned to daylight. Inside her mind, Ari's voice whispered again, faint but hopeful. "Mama, I knew you'd come." Lysera's tears turned into sparks of light, floating away like stars. "Hold on, my child. No army in the galaxy can keep me from you." As the fire faded, the dragon's eyes glowed brighter. "You have become what they feared most, the Mother of Flame." Lysera looked up at the endless dark of space. Her wings burned brighter, her resolve harder than steel. Then let them tremble. She and the dragon rose higher, breaking through the clouds, vanishing into the void, leaving only silence and a trail of fire that refused to die. The transformation was complete. Now vengeance had a name. The cold silence of space never lasted long when fury burned through it. Lysera and the dragon rose beyond Virelia's sky, breaking through the final layers of cloud and smoke. Above them stretched the Dominion fleet, an ocean of warships orbiting the planet like a cage of iron and light. Their weapons glowed with energy. Their engines thundered like angry gods. The commander aboard the flagship watched the burning world below. His armor was scorched, his pride shattered. He clenched his fist, target locked. Eliminate the anomaly. Dozens of ships turned as one. Cannons charged. The first wave of plasma fire shot downward, a storm meant to erase a planet. But Lysera didn't run. She hovered between her dragon's wings, eyes closed for a heartbeat. She could feel the heat of every weapon aimed at her, the fear behind every soldier's mask. She whispered softly, "You took my child. Now, take my wrath." Her eyes snapped open. White fire blazed from them. The dragon roared, a sound that tore the silence of space apart. Its wings unfolded, and from their scales burst rivers of flame that curved and twisted like living serpents. The fire met the Dominion's energy blasts head-on and consumed them. The first ship exploded. Then the second. Then the sky became chaos. Lysera moved like lightning, every beat of her dragon's wings creating shockwaves that shattered steel. Her body glowed brighter than the suns below. She punched through the hull of a battleship, ripping through metal as if it were paper. Soldiers screamed as energy screens failed, flames swallowing everything. The fleet tried to form ranks, but they were facing something they couldn't understand. A mother's rage turned divine. From the bridge of the flagship, the commander shouted over alarms, "All units, converge! She's only one target!" But even as he spoke, the dragon dived, straight toward his ship. Lysera stood on its back, eyes locked on the flagship like a hunter's gaze. "You wanted my child?" she said, her voice echoing through the comms of every ship. "Then look at what you created." She extended her arms. The dragon's roar became a beam of light, a torrent of golden fire that sliced through the fleet. Metal melted, stars dimmed. Inside the flagship, soldiers ran. The commander gritted his teeth, staring through the window as fire filled the void. "You think you're a god?" he muttered. Lysera appeared right in front of him, her body surrounded by glowing embers. "No," she whispered. "I'm just a mother." She raised her hand. The ship's power core flared, and with a single motion, she crushed it. The flagship erupted in a blinding burst, but as the explosion spread, Lysera felt something, a faint cry through the chaos. Ari's voice again. "Mama, I'm scared." Her rage froze. The dragon turned its massive head toward her. "She is near, but danger remains. They are taking her beyond the fleet." Lysera looked ahead, beyond the wreckage, deeper into space. A single black vessel was escaping, faster, smaller, and colder than the rest. It carried no insignia. It was the research ship. Her breath caught. "Ari," without another word, she leaned forward. The dragon understood. Its wings ignited with cosmic flame, and they shot after the fleeing ship, faster than light, faster than fear. Behind them, the Dominion fleet was gone. What had once been an empire's pride was now just glowing debris scattered across the stars. The commander's last words echoed in the void. "If she reaches the core world." None of us will survive. But Lysera didn't care about survival. She cared about one thing, her daughter. And as she and her dragon vanished into the dark, the surviving soldiers whispered a name that would haunt the galaxy forever. "The Mother of Flame is coming." The stars stretched like rivers of light as Lysera and her dragon chased the fleeing Dominion ship through the void. The dragon's wings burned brighter than any engine. Every beat of its heart echoed with hers. They moved faster, cutting through asteroid fields and storms of plasma, unstoppable. Relentless, furious, inside the black vessel, alarms screamed. Scientists shouted in panic, trying to hold the ship steady. One of them turned to the captain. "Sir, she's gaining on us." The captain's face was pale. "She destroyed an entire fleet." "How is she still alive?" Another scientist whispered, trembling. "Because she isn't just alive. She's awakened." Deep inside the ship's laboratory, behind a wall of glowing glass, Ari sat inside a containment pod. Her small hands pressed against the glass, eyes wide with fear. Sparks of light danced around her, uncontrolled energy. The scientist watched nervously. Her readings are rising again. "The child's energy is syncing with the entity outside. Outside!" Lysera came into view. The dragon's roar ripped through the vacuum of space, shaking the ship to its core. Fire trailed behind them like the breath of a god. Lysera's eyes locked on the ship, her voice echoing through the cosmos. "Give me back my daughter." The captain tried to respond, voice shaking. We can't. The child is..." "She's the key. She can power our entire fleet." Lysera's eyes blazed. "She's my child." The ship's shields flared blue as Lysera raised her hands. Her power flowed into the dragon. Together they struck, flame meeting steel, love meeting cruelty. The first hit shattered half the ship's hull. Metal melted, glass burst, alarms wailed. Inside, scientists screamed as consoles exploded around them. Ari covered her ears, crying. "Mama!" Lysera heard it. Even through the roar of destruction, her daughter's voice cut through everything. The dragon turned, tilting its head toward her. "She calls to you." "The bond is complete. Go." Lysera nodded. "Stay with me, old one." The dragon rammed the ship, tearing a hole through the hull. Lysera dove inside, wrapped in fire, landing in a corridor of smoke and alarms. Soldiers opened fire. The bullets never touched her. They turned to ash mid-air. She walked through the storm, calm, her eyes glowing like stars. Each step she took, lights flickered and walls cracked. Finally, she reached the lab door. A scientist screamed, "If you open it, the containment field will collapse." Lysera looked at him. "Then let it." She raised her hand, and the door dissolved in a wave of molten metal. Inside the pod, Ari looked up, small, trembling eyes full of tears. "Mama," Lysera's heart broke. She pressed her hand against the glass. "It's okay, my light. I'm here." The pod cracked. Sparks flew. The energy inside was unstable, ready to explode. The dragon's voice echoed faintly in her mind. "Her power is yours. But if you take it all, you may not survive." Lysera smiled softly. "Then I'll burn, but she will live." She placed both hands on the glass. Flames from her body merged with the energy inside the pod. Light flooded the room, blinding, beautiful, endless. The entire ship trembled as fire and light consumed it. When the brightness faded, the ship drifted silently through space, hollow, glowing with golden ash. In the center of the wreckage floated Lysera, holding her daughter close. Ari's small arms wrapped around her neck, safe at last. The dragon circled them, wings shimmering. "You gave up your power to save her." Lysera's eyes dimmed, her voice soft. A mother's power was never meant to rule, only to protect. The dragon lowered its head. "Then rest, Mother of Flame. The stars will remember you." As Lysera drifted into sleep, the last of her fire spread across the void, forming new stars, glowing embers of a love that refused to die. And somewhere in the silence, a whisper remained. When they took her child, even the dragons trembled. Silence. The war was over. The Dominion fleet, gone. The stars burned with new light, born from the fire of one mother's love. Where once there had been chaos, now there was peace. A peace written in flame and memory. Far away, on a small world untouched by war, a child stood on a hill under two suns. Her silver eyes reflected the sky. It was Ari. Years had passed since that night of fire. The galaxy remembered it as the day the stars cried, but for Ari it was the day her mother saved her and vanished into legend. Every night she looked up at the sky. Among the stars there was one that shone brighter than the rest, a golden ember that never dimmed. The people of that world called it the Mother's Star. Ari called it Mama. She lived among the villagers who had once known Lysera. They told stories around the fire, stories of the Mother of Flame, the alien woman who had faced an empire alone. Some said she became a dragon herself, guarding the stars. Others whispered that her soul lived within the flame of every world she saved. But Ari knew the truth, because when she closed her eyes, she could still feel her mother's heartbeat in her chest. One evening, as the twin suns set and the air turned to gold, Ari felt something strange, a soft warmth spreading through her hands. Sparks of light rose from her skin, tiny and bright, like fireflies. The same power that once lived in Lysera now flowed in her. She looked up at the sky. "You kept your promise, Mama," she whispered. "I'm not afraid anymore." A voice, gentle as the wind, seemed to answer. "You are my flame now." Ari smiled. She spread her small hands, and the sparks lifted higher, floating into the air until they became streaks of light, dancing toward the Mother Star. The villagers saw it from miles away. They gathered outside, gasping as the sky filled with trails of gold. One of them whispered, "The dragons are flying again." And maybe they were, for above the clouds, a shape appeared. Massive wings of fire cut across the horizon, moving slowly, majestically, as if watching over the world below. Ari watched too, her eyes wide, her heart calm. She knew what it was, not a creature of legend, not a monster of war, but a guardian, her mother. Years later, the galaxy changed. The dominion was gone, broken by its own greed and fear, but across countless worlds, children grew up hearing the same bedtime story of a mother who faced an army for her child, of a dragon who bowed to love stronger than death. And whenever someone asked if the story was true, the old ones would simply point to the golden star in the sky and say, "Look up." She's still watching. Back on the hill, Ari had grown older, her hair the same color as her mother's, her eyes still shining silver. She held a small crystal pendant, the last thing Lysera left behind. Inside it glowed a faint light, warm and eternal. She whispered, "I'll make you proud, Mama. I'll protect others, just like you did." A soft wind brushed her face, gentle, kind, full of fire. And for a moment, the stars flickered brighter. As if smiling, the story of the Mother of Flame became more than a legend. It became a promise that love, no matter how small, can shake worlds. And that when the universe forgets what mercy means, a mother's heart will remind it. They took her child, but in doing so, they awakened something greater, a love so fierce it burned across the stars. And when they did, even the dragons trembled.